I tell young people, they say they want to make a lot of money. I say, well, go get it as a career that's not so sexy. How about you become a pipe fitter? How about you become an electrician or a roofer? We need those right now. And I can promise you, you could do this in the next few years, work as an apprentice. You'll work for someone. Before you know it, you'll get a truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks. You'll be making yourself $500,000 while everybody else is trying to figure out how they're going to navigate this AI world, because we're going to need those kinds of tools.
The next wave of business leaders won't just use AI, they'll master momentum with it, starting now. Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where visionary founders and driven business leaders turn artificial intelligence, automation, and scalable systems into real growth, real scale, and real freedom. If you're ready to break bottlenecks, reclaim your title, and scale smarter, this is your playbook. Let's dive in. Here are your hosts, Allie Porter and Elise Smith.
Welcome to the Mastering AI Momentum Show, where today's top entrepreneurs share how they're scaling smarter, evolving faster, and navigating the future of business with or without AI. I'm Elise Smith, your business AI strategist, and I'm here with our incredible guest, Joshua Schulman. So let me tell you a little bit about this amazing guy. So Joshua Schulman is an award-winning public speaker and founder of Schulman Communications Interactive, LLC. He is an in-demand speaking coach and world-renowned international corporate trainer specializing with a whole suite of training modules, traditional business communication training and public speaking, to sales training, to popular business English programs, to even, get this, acting and stand-up comedy classes designed for business professionals to find sincerity and authenticity in their leadership and executive presence, and also uniquely the skills of the strategy and tactical game of chess and poker. Like, he is amazing, guys. You are gonna be him today. He likes to say that all of these skills are under the umbrella of communication. He is a frequent presentation coach for contestants on the popular United States television show Shark Tank, and has trained hundreds of startups and executive leadership over the years. In 2006, Mr. Schulman came in third place in the regionals for the World Championship of Public Speaking and has won over 50 speech contests in his competitive speaking career. Mr. Schulman resides in Los Angeles, California, and is a graduate of the University of Southern California and the American Academy of Dramatic Art. Please welcome Mr. Joshua Schulman.
Hello, Elise.
I love it. You are just such a multi-passionate guy. Have you always been like that?
I had my 40th high school reunion this past weekend, and a friend of mine who's known me since elementary school says, I have to tell you something. I've been thinking about your structure and your business and all these things you've been doing, and you have always been intentional. And I thought that was an interesting compliment, the notion of intention. And I've always been, if there's something that's interesting to me, like just to dive in, whatever it was, whether it was fencing, there's a million things that I just found so interesting, and I jumped right in. In fact, there's a book on that concept that fascinates me called Range by David Epstein. And it's about this idea of why generalists triumph in a specialized world. And so I guess people limit themselves if there's something of interest to them to explore it and find what it might be, and particularly good at it, like that ikigai saying. What is it, the Japanese concept? If you take something you love to do that you're good at, does the world need it? And can you get paid for it? There might be something there.
Yeah, big time. Oh, I love it. We're going to have so much fun just diving into more of how you balance all of that. But let's take you back to your childhood and even just graduating from high school. What did you do? What was like your first job that you did?
Well, right out of high school, I went to a school called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. I was already doing commercials at that point, not in high school, just out of high school as an actor. And then I went to a school called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. It's a 2-year program, exciting acting college. My parents said, you have to go to college. And I said, well, I do, but I'm really focused that I want to do this. That's what my idea was at that time. I know I was fascinated with storytelling, but the American Academy, you weren't allowed to work professionally while you're there. They really wanted you to zero in on what was going on and build your craft. So I kind of held for a while, even though I was in the union, the Screen Actors Guild and such. And then 2 years later, I actually ended up going to USC and their BFA theater program for 4 years. And I really spent a tremendous amount of time, not only in general education, but cultivating specific skills as an actor that led well for me, because in my business career, which was sales right out the gate, because that's how I made a living while I was an actor, I waited tables when I was 19. But the idea of I liked selling, I liked that because there was something interesting about performance element of it. And I've often talked about presentation is performance. Otherwise, just send me the deck, right? I don't need you. And that's what's intriguing. We'll get into this later on about AI and HI, right? Human intelligence. Where are some of these elements that as as humans we still have, that sincere empathy, that sincere humanity, dignity, integrity, elements like this, which can't be coded. So I think that was helpful for me. And then I've worked in sales most of my life, congruent to other things. And then, of course, starting businesses or helping people entrepreneurially stop chasing salary and health insurance, take me to your leader. I believe that the element of sales, if anyone can learn to sell, and I believe everybody should. And if you go to my website, they talk about it: pitch, present, and persuade. The premise of convincing is an essential skill. You'll always have food on your table.
Absolutely. Yes, definitely check out his website. And I love that you're okay with being multi-passionate, but you have found kind of this umbrella in communication to be able to tie it all together. So thinking about business coaches and how they always say, like, choose one niche and choose one thing you're good at and really get specialized at it. What do you say to that? Like, how do you balance everything that you're doing, including chess? Like, it's amazing.
Well, I really do believe there's a connection to that. I didn't kind of make it a connection. And my girlfriend, she always teases me. She says, honey, one thing, just one thing. You're a great acting coach, business coach, sales coach, chess coach. Figure out one. It was a famous movie years ago called City Slickers. And the premise of the thing was like, choose one thing. Billy Crystal, I think. Was. And I think, no, they're all under this umbrella, this little metaphor of communication. In chess and poker, we go, oh my gosh, I didn't see that. But in speech, we also say, oh my gosh, I didn't mean to say that. So there's this element, I think, of the same side of the brain there working. And I believe there's a kind of an interesting coalesce of all of these things. And I'm just fascinated with the premise of every action has a reaction. I teach that to 7-year-olds for chess, right? This notion, if I say this, you'll respond this way. What is an argument? One says this, then they say this, but then you got to deal with how you feel and whether you're even listening to them. How many folks have had a conversation with someone and you felt they weren't even listening to you? They're only formulating what they want to say in response. These kinds of challenges and difficulties, whether it's in business and getting cap raise, getting that promotion, or getting that job, right? Job interviewing is the ultimate in sales. All of these premises, I think each and every one, and I teach over 200 modules of concept of communication. I mean, we have other things about how to brainstorm more effectively with your team. I have concepts of course, networking, how to be more effective when you go to a mixer. How are you coming out with 80 business cards, not just talking to one person at the bar for 45 minutes? Right? Really finding ways to be much more intentional, like we talked about before. What do they say? Luck is when there's hard work and opportunity. Well, what are those things? Even Sun Tzu in The Art of War talks about within chaos, there's opportunity. But I appreciate when there's challenge or difficulty because I know there's a possible solution. If we stop for a moment and not go into shock and breathe and let oxygen get to your brain, you can make some great decisions, wise decisions.
Absolutely. So you have this umbrella of communication, which makes a lot of sense. And if you go to his website, you'll be able to see exactly what we're talking about. But let's talk about, do you have boundaries around shiny object syndrome? Because I can tell that you love to do lots of different things. So how do you keep yourself focused?
Yeah, I think that works in two ways. One, with the people I want to work with, I certainly interview folks. I give a complimentary coaching session, and it's an opportunity for them to interview me and see my process. I give them a real session where they see how this works, what my process is. I want them to have 110% confidence in what we're doing and what we're trying to achieve. And I want to interview them too, Elise. I want to know, are they coachable? I work with a lot of executive levels, but teams and people with the Dunning-Kruger effect, who, at a certain point, they think they know everything and they're not really receiving information. And so those elements are important, and I can determine that in that meeting as well. And so those sometimes can be challenging or frustrating if you really want to be effective at what you do. And that's a big important thing to me, this premise of effectiveness. In fact, I have a comment about this. In pharmaceutical, in the industry, there's a word efficacy, whether a drug works within its trials or whether beneficial or not. Why can't we be that way with our words, where we're very precise, concise, right? There are better words that color and encapsulate what we're trying to say. And if I know this works, that works, then that's effective. Instead of like, or or all these other words we put in there, or these, we're already, talk about AI, we're already drones just wandering around. People have built-in things. I tell 7-year-olds, I need you to learn some superlatives. What? Yeah, instead of when people say, how are you? Fine, okay. Say, I'm fantastic, marvelous, stupendous, extraordinary, remarkable. They say, what? Because I tell you what's going to happen right there. You're going to short circuit that person's brain. And they're going to go, wait, what? Why are you doing it? And they're going to want to talk to you and engage. And that is called the conversations. And I believe if we could be better conversationalists, we're going to be, perhaps we can seek exceptional presentations and speaking opportunities. And speaking opportunities are only as good as they are. So a lot of people say, Joshua, you do channel. Well, I don't want to stare at a red dot all day and just chase followers and likes. I want to coach. I teach all day, every day. Yes, I get opportunities to go speak and travel and all that. And I love that. But I'm not sitting there like I was as an actor either, twiddling my thumbs, waiting for someone to hire me or call me for some gig. So our society has put this romance of what jobs are. And we know with AI, we're going to have a complete revision. This week, ChatGPT 5 is coming out. And so this is a very interesting way. In the next few months, it's going to be fascinating. Many jobs that people have been studying for, educating for, are going to be gone. They're going to have to shift their consciousness of what is a romantic career. And what is, I tell young people, they say they want to make a lot of money. I said, well, go get a career that's not so sexy. How about you become a pipe fitter? How about you become an electrician or a roofer? We need those right now. And I could promise you, you could do this in the next few years, work as an apprentice. You'll work for someone. Before you know it, you'll get a truck, 2 trucks, 3 trucks. You'll be making yourself $500,000 while everybody else is trying to figure out how they're going to navigate this AI world, because we're going to need those kinds of tools.
Absolutely. Oh, awesome. So let's talk about communication when it comes to sales. What are the main themes that you're teaching there?
Well, I like the idea of how we can prospect better and more effectively. Talk about it, right? The efficacy. So instead of me calling 80 to 100 people a day, get me in front of 500 or 1,000 people. There's a myriad of different opportunities you can get tomorrow to go speak in front of groups, large, small, whatever. They will come up to you, because I tell people this. If you're good at what you do, at least you'll be asked to speak to a group. If you're really good, they're going to say, what's your rate? Come speak in my company. Come work in my organization. Here's that check for cap raise. Here's that promotion. And as a result, that could be hugely opportunistic. I just spoke recently in an event. There's over 800 people in the audience. Over 500 people came up and said, you got a card? I want to do what you do on stage. That's effective prospecting. That's solid lead generation. I haven't paid for advertising in 15 years. Now, I love podcasts and these things like this. It's fascinating. I get to meet extraordinary people like yourself. And typically people will call me and seek out. I tell people, stop chasing salary and health insurance. Take me to your leader. Stop helping Bob or Brenda build their dreams.
Absolutely. So let's go back to the very beginning of your business when you had like one client. What were some of the decisions that you made and big steps that you took in order to be able to scale to the heights that you're at now?
Well, I appreciate that, because I've had different entities that I've created over the years in coaching and in different ways where I shifted gears. In the last 9 years, September 17th will be 9 years for this particular entity, Schulman Communications Interactive, where I've decided to converge with VR and AI dynamics. I've been doing this for the last decade, focusing on that, because I had a lot of workshops and seminars and live and stuff. And I'm very excited and proud about that, because I'm month over month, year over year for 9 years now almost. And that's a very important feat. When I looked at other things before, how I started even my career, and I tell people who want to be consultant, coaches, whatever kind of business, keep your day job for a second. I think there's value, especially when we're younger. Look under the hood, how they do it wrong, how you could do it better. And from that, what I did is I had clients on the weekend. And then I had clients early in the morning, because I work all time zones, right? And then I work out at lunchtime. And back in the day, I was, of course, schlepping all over LA and stuff. And then in the evening, I'd have a client doing a seminar or workshop. And before you know it, I was making pretty much what my salary was with the job that I had in sales. And I decided to make a decision. I'm going to quit. I'm going to focus on my job for 3 months. And then boom, I made 5 times what I was making in salary. So people have to commit to themselves, but they do need process flow. And I talk about that extensively. Can't just manifest and think great things. And here's a good one for your audience. I talk about SOS. It's not save our souls or save our ship. It's systemize, optimize, scale. What is your process flow? How can you be most efficient and optimize your goals? And scale, how can it grow and develop, right? How can we make more money? Fine, sure. But how can we meet more people? Because it's not just what we know, it's who we know and who knows us. So when we discuss sales, there's myriad of different parts of sales. That's why I have a whole program breaking it down, from prospecting that we talked about to qualifying if this person that I'm presenting to is even authorized to sign or pay for the services or product. And then we get into objections and resistance. Most products or services, Elise, have only maybe, I call them 6 shooters, 6 objections and resistance points why they're not going to buy your product or service. We know what they are. Think of the top performers, producers in your organization who are top salespeople. They know what they are, and they can give the proper response, which alleviates it, concerns it, eliminates it. We call that isolate, eliminate. So it's not really the issue of scheduling. Okay, so that works for you, right? It's not an issue whether you think I know what I'm talking about. That works for you, so credibility. So it's the issue of money. And then we know when people buy things, it's either the value proposition, whether they think it's worth it or whether they can afford it. So if you can find an answer or resolution for those, you're going to close the deal. And we work on closing too, not as manipulate someone to make a natural gravitation to making a decision. So you can shorten your sales cycle. Most people, their sales cycle is way too long. So concepts like think are very important. And they go back to the genesis of how I started my business and my own system and process flow. And I teach that and I encourage people to build on it. And I don't keep any secrets. Tell them whatever they want to know, exactly what I did. And I didn't necessarily go on someone else's paradigm. And I believe people, if you want to be an entrepreneur, be a heterodox. So an orthodox is strict adherence, not just religion, but life or work or whatever. And it's being a nonconformist, Elise. It's about saying, you know what? I'm not going to run my business like other people. I'm not going to run my life or my family or this or that like everybody else does. So So if it's working and boom, then you can find your process, that SOS, then you're off to the races. You'll know it. And you're not going to get all caught up with, oh, I've arrived. What's next? There's no there for people really trying to achieve something special in their lives. And I really believe in that, finding something. I'm a cancer survivor. I don't mess around. I mean, I love Benjamin Franklin. He's so extraordinary. I teach time and goal management, and I reference something he mentioned called the schema. He starts his day. He said, what good shall I do this day, Elise? And at the end of the day, he says, what good have I done this day? Telling your days. And I promise you, you're going to find not only your sense of purpose and intention, but others will see it too. And they'll want to work with that because that's important, because most people don't. And it frustrates me. That's why I work with a lot of young people who are struggling with that. And as a result, that can develop tremendous development of anxiety and frustration, depression, lack of purpose, confidence, all those things.
Absolutely. Wow. I hope you guys are taking note because there's golden nuggets every time this guy opens his mouth.
Hold on.
That's amazing. And I want to touch on one of the things that you said was do it your way, right? You don't have to do it the way that everybody else is doing it. And I know I had my own experience with that too. When I first started in the coaching industry, because I was a Christian business strategist for a long, long time, loved it, had a passion for it. But everybody said start with group coaching and then move into one-on-one coaching. And I did not like that. I mean, I love the concept of group coaching, but you have to have a following and you have to have something to start with in order to get people into the classes. Otherwise, it turns into one-on-one. It was just kind of the aha moment for me of like, you can't just do what everybody else is doing or what people say works. You have to try it out for yourself and really determine. I mean, because I'm Christian, I bring God into it, right? Is this what God wants me to do? But you have to determine that for yourself. And I love that you have that courage. And that's exactly what helped you to scale your business. Because if you were still trying to do what everybody else was doing or what people told you to do, don't you feel like you would be a little bit stuck right now and not authentic to you?
Absolutely. And I don't want that to be misunderstood. What I'm not saying is be yourself.
Mhm.
Interesting. Because most of us, we want to be a better or a different version of ourselves.
Yeah.
A young person I was working with said, can you make me a 2.0? I said, I like that. I put a seminar together called Your Apps Update to You, Become a 2.0. So what is that next level of what that context is? And I want to go back to something interesting you talked about, because I started off with one-on-ones and I started working with everybody, all levels. And when I work with executives, particularly CEOs, and they work with me long-term and they like me, they pay my value, they never would devalue me. And then you know what, inevitably, I guarantee you this happens every single time. Josh, do me a favor. What's your fall like? I'd love to have you come out, fly out to Atlanta or Seattle or New York, wherever the person might be, and train my team and do that thing you do. And by the way, are you available in January? Because we're having a big kickoff. I'd love you to be the keynote speaker and do that motivational thing you do. So you'll notice a lot of events that I do are clients of mine who appreciate what I'm doing and then put me in bigger or other opportunities. And then, yes, we'll do online training, group coaching through the year. Now, I'm going to tell you, I prefer private one-on-one than group coaching, but group coaching is the only way you can scale for a business. Now, I'm in a unique problem right now. Doing almost 75 sessions a week, one-on-one group class on 8 time zones. I got a problem. It's like the dog chasing the car. Once it catches it, what does it do with its big prize? Eat it, pee on it? What it's going to do when you're building a business and it gets to a level that, are you going to build, get another location, hire more trainers? I don't want to be sitting on an ivory tower, Elise, and just look down and say, okay, you guys do this, and I just count money. I want to coach. I'm a teacher at the core. That's what I want to do. But for me, it wasn't meaning to go teach in school systems because I didn't feel there was equitable value for what they're paid for what they do. And even in colleges, I get offers quite a bit to as adjunct professors in colleges and stuff. And I just, people get too caught up on, oh, but that's such credibility to say you work at this school or that. Or you should write a book, Joshua. And I'm like, what? Well, backroom sales. I said, well, it's not probably as profitable as you think it is. And B, they say, well, what about you could be a published author? I said, well, I don't really care about that. That doesn't mean anything to us. Most of the people who are authors now are self-published anyway. What are you talking about? You were very gracious in talking about the nuggets I got, but I've been reading a lot of stuff. And for many years, I don't read for, oh, one day I'm going to use this. I'm reading, I go back to intention. Oh, that's interesting. You know what? Elise and I were just talking about that in coaching session. I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to bring it up in session. So I have a lot of books strategically right near me, over 40, 50 of them that I bring up on a weekly basis all the time. And I tell people, dust off your library card. You don't have to go buy them on Amazon. You can go to ChatGPT and say, what are the 5 top takeaways from that book Josh mentioned, and boom, and then start to build your understanding, because someone else has thought about this stuff. And it's probably not a good sales pitch for myself, but I'm not that smart. I am not that talented, but I'm uber diligent, and I do have process flow that I can count on, and that will win every single time. And it's not a matter of whether I'll work harder than anybody else, because I love the idea, as my grandpa used to say, Grandpa Irving, work smarter, not harder. But one thing that's important for us to understand, if you're seeking entrepreneurship, when you work harder, it gets harder.
Mm. Huh.
Focus on what you're really wanting to achieve. And I think most of us, what you would like is freedom. When you want to work as much as you want to work. The people in my life, family, friends, have never complained that I don't have time for them. That's all I worry. When someone says to me, you work too much, I'm insulted. You don't even know my sequence or circumstance. And the fact that I love what I do. When people say, I don't want to do what I love because I'm not going to love it anymore. That's not true.
Exactly. Wow. Amazing. So let's talk about, because you are at this point where you're doing 75 coaching sessions a week. Did I hear that right?
I'm tailoring it down now because as of January this past year, it cleared Saturdays. So since COVID, I had already had hybrid online before COVID, workshop seminars. When COVID hit, I migrated everything online and I stayed on there. And even now, I'm in Los Angeles in the South Bay. When my clients in Beverly Hills say, well, can you come up to the office like you used to? I said, no, because it's going to take me an hour to get to you with the 4 or 5 traffic and fires by the time I get you. Then we have an hour session, an hour back, and I can do 3 groups in that time. So classroom utilization is a very important concept in regards to about how you manage. I have 10, 12, whatever sessions a day. I can do 3 at a time, break, workout, have lunch, another 3, sometimes 4, break, workout, come walk my dogs, have dinner with my honey, come back, do another 3, 4, whatever that sequence, and I can count on it. And I'll take a break every 6 weeks. I take 2 weeks off, and I wouldn't if on my own, but other people would appreciate that. See all the people in my life. I'm not one to go lie on a beach on Fiji, but I'll go catch all the teachers. There's about 3 teachers I see about 4 times a year from my college days and high school days, and people that I really appreciate, and they are my mentors, and I want to sit with them and have breakfast. But they have a perspective of how things were done, a whole other generation, which is different, and they're not familiar with the technologies. In fact, that's what I love to do, is maybe mentor them too and share with them what new insights. One of them was a guest on my audio event on LinkedIn, one of my acting coaches, and we talked about how we use acting skill sets in business, right? Because performance, if you're pitching 10, 12 times, at least you got to find the pathos and the humor of what you're talking about. And that is acting. But most actors are not very good at public speaking because there's a fourth wall. And then when they have to speak and it's your words, your thoughts, that's why this is the #1 fear in the world, speaking over spiders flying in death, because you're being evaluated, you're being judged, your intelligence, your standing, your knowledge. And that's very stressful for a lot of people. Learn it, become knowledgeable in what you know and what you can do, and put yourself out there. And it's an extraordinary opportunity if you do that. Most people won't. That Nike ad is so popular, just do it, at least because people don't do it. And it's not because they can't do it. It's because they won't do it and they know they should do it.
Yeah. Exactly. So I know you have a passion for AI as well, especially when you have so much on your plate. What are you doing when it comes to AI? How do you use it? Where do you see the future of it going for you in particular?
Well, I've used it as a resource. I don't know if my passion is about AI. I'm a little concerned about some of the things too, what this might mean. Certainly as a training specialist, many people in this line of work might find themselves out of a job. Just like paralegals or a whole host of different people, even some doctors, because diagnoses can be done better. And I want to utilize it in conjunction with other work I'm doing in VR and the metaverse. I have a building in the metaverse. I have a 3-story building with auditoriums and classrooms. I teach stand-up comedy, of course, and acting as well. So I have a comedy club in there. I have chess and poker and all of these things. And it's an avatar. And anybody connects with me on LinkedIn or Insta, they'll see videos of me talking as my avatar. Well, in the next year or two, that will be more hyper-realistic. And people can be able to go into one of my classrooms and pick from a suite of classes. Let's say you want to take time and goal management. I want a seat in row J, seat 6. Here, I'll do the $25 with it. And I won't even be there. It'll be me as an avatar presenting. Now, I'm already recording most of my lectures and programs that I can do. And then through AI, people can ask questions and such. And I've already responded to those. And of course, AI is going to assist with that in regards to what are better or other responses as well that maybe I haven't thought of. I'm very much hands-on into what's going on because I don't want to lose the leash of what my opportunities. I believe the HI marriage, as we talked about, human intelligence with AI, is where it's going to be fascinating. But we need to be really in tune on what's going on. You need to know, break down and understand, what is Grok doing now with their update? What's going on with Gemini? What's going on with Meta AI? Why did they change? What are they shifting to? Understanding where we're going. What is the distinction between ChatGPT 3 when it first came out a few years ago to 4 to now 5? It's exponential. By December this year, we're going to be seeing some night and day stuff. It's crazy. I think you have to be in tune, and it could easily overwhelm us. And so I'm not an engineer, but I work with a lot and for a long time. And so the marriage of my concepts of true content, I want to focus on coaching and teaching and utilizing all these different things in ways. So I've been using the Oculus and VR for the last 8-9 years with this system. I have created some of my own. And now, of course, the MetaQuest 3, and people are utilizing that. They can join us. I have seminars every month in the metaverse, in my building, in my auditorium. Last month, we did Sales 101. So people think it's just for gaming and other things. And I know I have actually really good events every month that are very helpful, and those are free. Of course, people are going to lift up the goggle. They're going to go say, who is this guy? And they'll call me for traditional sales training or just e-learning. Zoom, and things like that we can do as well. A myriad of ways that I can coach and train. And I have trainers as well, but it's hard to find trainers who can teach public speaking, sales training, and business English. All three of those effectively, because I have students in the world, and people have to be more effective as communicators and understand the tools in our toolbox. Metaphors, similes, onomatopoeia, malaprops, alliteration, all the rhetorical devices, various ones like chiasmus. And I think those things can be very helpful in conjunction with understanding your prepositions or definite articles and plurals and pronouns.
You're such a fascinating guy. I could talk to you all day long.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. So where do you draw the line for yourself? Because you've brought up HI and AI, and that's something we like to talk about all the time as well. There isn't just AI creating AI. Like that's not what we want to happen because that's where things get scary going down the road, right? But it's
Yeah.
having that human element and making sure that, especially with your company, and this is your baby, you can tell the passion that you have and you want to stay involved in that. How do you find that balance between what you give over to AI and the tools and the metaverse and all those things compared to what you keep with yourself?
Well, we do that with every segment of our business. As an entrepreneur, you may notice in my business, SCI, it's Schulman Communications Interactive. My name's on this thing. I don't have an exit. I've had other businesses, but this is one that I'll do. My oldest student is 92. He said, Josh, don't ever quit. I'll turn 58 next week. I can do this at 88. I know I can. God bless my mama is 88. And maybe I'm sitting, maybe I'm doing 3 days a week or whatever, but I'll find ways to utilize. And I think people need to be in tune with we are as entrepreneurs wearing hats. I know my accounting. I do my bookkeeping. I have accountants. I do my law, legal elements and stuff, even though I have a lawyer, but I was a paralegal many years ago. When I was determining whether I wanted to go to law school in the 11th hour, I changed my mind. My dad was federal prosecutor, assistant U.S. attorney and private law. And then, of course, encouraging me to go into law. But his practice went from civil litigation to complex probate and estate planning. And I did not want to do that the rest of my life. And so, did a wonderful job in what he did. Anyway, understanding the marketing. I do my own marketing. Can someone do it better? Perhaps. My concern is delegation and time sequence. Because if someone can do it and do it better, but it takes 2 weeks, and I want that review that someone posted today because I have a meeting in the afternoon with a company that particularly is aligned with that client that is writing a review for me, I'm going to get it up on my website. So I control a lot of those elements. I know how to do it. I've learned how to do it. Same with marketing. And these days, with AI and Canva and all kinds of different ones you may choose, there are a myriad plethora of opportunities for you to get hands-on on these things and understand how they work and what the limitations are. But we're going to have to educate ourselves tremendously. So for every facet of the business, I think we should all learn and what that does. Now, as it grows and you want to scale it, delegate it, you kind of have a good understanding of what's going on.
Absolutely. So because our company is Millionaire Momentum AI Agency and we build out AI agents for multi-million-dollar companies. So when you think about if you could have an AI agent built for anything in your business, what would you want it to do for you?
Well, it's interesting. I would love to help. I have a huge calendar board, August 2025. It takes me about 2 hours to do this stuff. Got all my clients. I have a legend format with markers. My nephews say, oh, you're old school, Uncle Josh. Now I got it electronically too, but I need to see it a slot where it red swipe the days past. Okay, Elise is on Thursday. I need to take her off. Let's say you were on there and then put it to another thing. I have a green on the bot. I have a green dot, and that means I could sell that slot. If there's a black dot in it, if there's just a green dot, that means somebody couldn't make that week. I put another client in who needs to shift. In fact, I have a new product where I created where I give my programs. I do coaching much less than my traditional pricing and corporate pricing if they're flexible and will take empty slots that I have. So my 10, 12, 13, whatever slots a day are filled every single day because someone's going to take that slot. I need to know that if I want to be able to hit what my numbers are, right? And from that standpoint, elements like that. And then on the bottom, I have the word goal and there's a number. And as I mentioned, I've been month over month. Underneath it says actual. Now on the 31st, which is a Sunday, I'm going to have a little scotch and then I will listen to my favorite podcast of some sort of, and then I'm going to clear the board and write and take that new thing. Now that could be done by AI. I send reminders the day before. People think it's AI. It's not. It's actually me. It takes me 4 minutes and 26 seconds to send the reminders for the clients the next day. I want to do it. I know I can have AI do that, and I'll tell you why. Because when they respond, and they usually do very quickly, it's usually 5:30 in the morning for me because I have people on different time zones. I know where I want to put them on another day. I don't want AI arbitrarily doing that, just like I don't have an assistant doing that because I don't want someone saying, well, coach, you have 12 sessions tomorrow. This is what you're up to. Some people like that. Just point me where I got to go. I want to know exactly, okay, this is my slate. This is what I got going. Okay, I got harsh. I can see the sequence. Okay, I got 2 groups. I try and do 2 groups in a day, right? Because it's good for scale. 20, 30 people. It's a different price point, different format for companies. Boom. AI? Yes. I want to find ways I could delegate certain elements of those kinds of things in structure and other elements of my business that are more mundane, parts of our don't really love doing. I do my own accounting and bookkeeping, and some of it I could probably delegate. But when people complain about embezzlement or they got ripped off by this person or that person, because you don't know what's going on with your own business, and that's your fault.
Yeah, there's a line, right? And that's really up to you as the business owner to determine that line for yourself. You know where you want to be human in your business, but there's also tasks that everybody has in their business that can be delegated to AI. So I love that you're open to that, but you
Sure.
stay true to who you are and what matters to you. And you're
Learning, because I'm not going to be naive to say that we have some better systems now. And if it opens up time for me, at least, to be able to spend more time doing this, but I've really quantified every moment of my day, including exercise, working out, eating, time with my aunt, all the different things. I know what that is. And I've been able to quantify it. I create SMART goals, which I teach concepts of, which people are familiar. Specific, you write a thesis and you have specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, timely, with action steps, tools, what I need to do, who needs to help me. And so I'm never kind of caught unawares. That's why I love poker and things like that as well. And human beings, and this will be interesting with AI, are predictable circumstances. And people are different people, as we're aware of that. But AI is not necessarily processing that the same way we are. That's why self-driving cars and AI will be very exciting and important, because we have about 70, 80,000 deaths a year from driver error and drink this or that. Those elements will not exist with self-driving cars. Here in LA, we already have Waymo. It's not even a pilot program. I was at the stoplight the other day and there was a Waymo before me on the left and the right. There's no one driver's seat.
amazing. Technology is just so fun, but we have to remember the human element of it too. So I love this. So Joshua, thank you so much for just pouring into our audience and just giving all of these golden nuggets away. And I have no doubt that the classes that you offer in your metaverse are just life-changing. So tell us, how can someone learn a little bit more about your business and what you're up to and how they can connect with you?
Don't be shy. Reach out. I believe Brian Tracy used to talk about back in the day, be an action taker. You know what I'm saying? Reach out to me. Go to my website, go to the contact page, send me a note. Tell me what you're doing, what you're about. I'll give you a complimentary coaching session. When I do seminars, I don't have a book in the back. I have these little poker chips. It's got my website, my email on the other, and you could redeem it for a free class. If people want to take advantage of it, let's see. And they're welcome to. And if we find something that works with your budget and goals, I'll try and work with you. And we'll see how we can make it and manage. If not, maybe we'll come away with some interesting things we learned for that moment. So you can go to my website, www.getcoachingfromsci.com. Go to LinkedIn. Everybody should be on LinkedIn. I work with teen junior entrepreneur programs in sales. Every 15-year-old kid, 16-year-old kid should be on LinkedIn these days. It used to be 18. They all have aspiration one day having their own business. They know the mom and dad's friends, people. It's not what you know, it's who you know, who knows you. Learning how to kind of navigate that, the people you know in your life, it's not about being transactional, it's currency. And so that's important. Be a connector. So find out, connect with me on LinkedIn. Make a note that you heard this podcast so I have that reference, because I do get hundreds of messages from LinkedIn, but I will review them and I'll check. So we can coordinate. And if I get an empty time that I can't fill with another client, I'll pop you in and we can meet. I'm meeting with you, Elise, today on a Saturday because I have no available slots this past week for you and I to have met. And I appreciate that we can make this accommodation. And that's what you do. I'm working tomorrow. Sundays I work. I start early in the morning from 7. I finish at 1:30 because I promised my hon that in the rest of the day I'm clear. I'm going to just sit and twiddle my thumbs, be busy. I'm a cancer survivor and I wanted from that whole experience. And I know I was like this before, but don't just survive ordeal, thrive. Whatever challenges or difficulties you're having right now, there's a solution, there's a fix. In fact, make it a game and try and figure what it is. That's why I love chess and poker. I love gamification. I love gaming, trying to look at it from an idea of how that one thing can work. And the point system is not money. If you only focus on money, that's a challenge. So feed your soul, not just your wallet.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Oh, thank you so much for just taking time out of your incredible busy schedule. I feel so honored that you would do this with our audience here and with me. So thank you guys for tuning in to Millionaire Momentum, where AI means artificial intelligence, but also means abundance and impact. Because scaling isn't about doing more. It's about building smarter and staying true to what matters most. And Joshua is a perfect example of that. So thank you so much, Joshua, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you guys next time on Mastering AI Momentum.
You've been listening to Mastering AI Momentum. If today's episode gave you clarity or sparked a breakthrough, share it, review it, leave us a comment, and show Ali and Elise how you're turning AI into ROI. And make sure you subscribe, because the next episode could be the strategy that unlocks your next level. Until then, build smart, scale fast, and let AI multiply your momentum.